Hello, and welcome to this short introduction to managing standards exception requests in Ardoq. An exception request is one of the 5 record types covered by our architecture records solution, the others being patterns, architecture decision records, compliance assessments, and architecture standards. If you've recorded your approved standards in Ardoq using the architecture standard component type, you are probably wrestling with the problem of how to deal with requests to bypass your adopted standards. These might just be temporary requests, such as asking for a bit more time to comply with the standard, or permanent exceptions because, for example, a particular business system will only run with some non-standard supporting software, such as a particular database management system. It can be quite a task to record and keep track of such exceptions, so if you're faced with this need, this solution will come to your rescue. Let's start by looking at the meta model. The refers to reference points to the standard from which the exception is being sought. Note that one request might be seeking exceptions from multiple standards. The has subject reference points to the application or applications that are to be exempted from the standard. We've made the target of this reference the application component type by default, as we think a business application is the most likely subject. But you could easily change this by amending the survey question to point to a different workspace and component type. The live date range is used to record the period for which the exception is being granted, and its end date can be left blank to indicate a permanent exception. Of course, not all exception requests should be granted, so unlike the other architecture record components, we've split this one into 2 surveys, one to be completed by the team requesting the exception, and another by those who determine whether or not to approve it. And we've implemented a process that will route new exception requests to ARB members to pass judgment and notify the application owner of the decision as soon as it is made. This automated process will also warn the application owner 30 days before expiry, just to remind them that they should by now have completed whatever work was needed to bring the application into line. And the chief architect will be invited to update the exception request record, hopefully changing its status to retired, but if necessary, perhaps granting a little more time to adopt the standard. We can see here how the process has been implemented using a combination of broadcasts and surveys. Don't worry if you don't use the role component to identify members of the ARB or the chief architect. You can easily change the broadcast to target the relevant people in your organisation. We just included the use of roles to illustrate how this can be done to create a dynamic workflow. Here's the simple survey that application teams need to submit to request an exception. We can see this one is asking for an additional 6 months to catch up with a new standard. And here's the corresponding survey that is used to make and record a decision on the request, documenting the exception period granted and its approval status. This solution, recording and tracking exception requests, can be a huge time saver for organisations with many application teams. In one organisation where I was chief architect, this activity occupied a large part of one person's job in the EA team. With this solution, most of that work can now be carried out automatically by Ardoq. I hope you're able to make similar savings while also improving your architectural governance with this solution. Many thanks for taking the time to watch this video.